Hello children, how are you all? Today we are going to learn the last topic of integers, that is division of integers. Children, before we go into the division of integers, we should know what is division. Division is nothing but sharing or the opposite operation of multiplication. In the lower classes, you would have learnt about multiplication and division facts. We know that for every multiplication fact, there are two division facts. For example, let us take the multiplication fact 4 into 7. Children, tell me what is the product? It is 28. Now from the following diagram, you can see when we multiply 4 into 7, we get 28 as the product. And that is called the multiplication fact. Now let us find the two division facts. Here, when the product 28 is divided by either of the numbers, we get the two division facts. Let us see here. 28, when it is divided by 7, we get 4 as the quotient. When 28 is divided by 4, we get 7 as the quotient. These are the two division facts, children. Children, now let us find the multiplication and division facts for integers. For example, let us take minus 4 and 7. When we multiply minus 4 and 7, we get minus 28 as the product. And when we multiply 4 and minus 7, again we are getting minus 28 as the product. Now children, we will take the red circle to be a positive integer and the green circle to be a negative integer. Now here you see the multiplication fact minus 4 into 7, we get minus 28. Now let us find the two division facts for this multiplication fact. Here minus 28, when it is divided by 7, we get minus 4 as the quotient. Then again in the next case, when minus 28 is divided by minus 4, we get 7 as the quotient. Children, have you all observed something? Here, when a negative integer is divided by a positive integer, we get a negative integer as a quotient. In the second case, when a negative integer is divided by a negative integer, we get a positive integer as a quotient. Children, these are the two division facts for the multiplication fact. Did you all understand, children? Shall we go into the next case? Thus, we observe that when we divide a positive integer by a negative integer or a negative integer by a positive integer, the quotient is always a negative integer. But when we divide a negative integer by a negative integer, we always get a positive integer. It is very easy to remember like this, children. When integers with unlike signs are divided, then we get a negative integer as a quotient. But if integers with like signs are divided, we get a positive integer. Here in general, for any two positive integers a and b, a divided by minus b or minus a divided by b is equal to a divided by b with the negative sign, or we get a negative integer. But if a negative integer a is divided by a negative integer b, then the quotient will always be a positive integer. Children, now we are going to learn about the properties of division of integers. We know that the first property is the closure property. Let us find out whether this is true for division. Let us take two examples, minus 8 divided by 4 and 3 divided by minus 5. In the first case, when we divide minus 8 by 4, we get minus 2 as a quotient. Here, minus 2 is an integer, but in the second case, when 3 is divided by minus 5, we get minus 3 by 5. But minus 3 by 5 is not an integer. So we observe that integers are not closed under division. Now let's go into the next property, that is the commutative property. Let us find out whether commutative property is true for division or not. Let us take the example minus 8 divided by 4 and 4 divided by minus 8. Here from the diagram we see that the quotients are not same. That means commutative property is not true for division of integers. That means if you change the order of the numbers, then the quotients will be different. So commutative property is not true for division. And if commutative property is not true for division, then associative property is not true for division. Children, please understand and take note of it. Now let us learn about the next property of division, that is property of 0. When an integer is divided by 0, we cannot divide because division by 0 is not defined. But if 0 is divided by any integer, we get 0 as the quotient. Now let us learn the next property of division of integers, that is property of 1. When an integer is divided by 1, the quotient will always be the integer itself. And when an integer is divided by the same integer, we get 1 as the quotient. Did you all understand, children? You can see from the following examples. Children, I have made a table of the above properties so that it will be easy for you all to remember. Please go through it. Now let us solve some examples. When a positive integer is divided by a negative integer, that is 64 divided by minus 16, we just divide 64 by 16 and then put a negative sign. That means 64 divided by minus 16 is equal to minus 4. And when minus 125 is divided by 25, we just divide the numbers, that is 125 divided by 25 and put a negative sign. But in the third case, when we divide a negative integer by a negative integer, we just divide the numbers and we get a positive integer. Children, now try these problems on your own and do it in your notebook. Thank you, children. Have a nice time.